Harry and I live here in the UK, and as I'm filming this, everyone here is under lockdown. Part of the current rules mean that separate households need to socially distance from each other. So to play it safe, Harry and I are maintaining a strict 100-mile distance between each other at all times.
So Ed is currently here, in his flat in central London.
And Harry is here, in, well, not London.
But we are allowed outside for unlimited periods of time, which means wildlife photography is back on the cards.
Technically, I can still drive places with my car, but I can't stay anywhere overnight. So instead, I'm going to focus on wildlife that I can find within walking distance of my flat. Now, those of you familiar with my photography will have probably already guessed what I'm after. Urban foxes.
During lockdown, I have been here at home in the Suffolk countryside. So I currently don't have much of a social life. Neither does Ed, but that's completely unrelated to the lockdown. Anyway, instead of wasting my evenings in the pub, I've been wasting them outdoors. I've been spending my evenings outside because I want to photograph a barn owl, and where I'm currently stationed is perfect for them. Loads of open fields full of voles.
Whereas where I'm stationed, there are roads, buildings and parks where out-of-focus families like to play football. Fortunately, foxes love these kind of areas. In fact, they love most of London. All the pigeons, rats and rubbish bins provide a nice menu, and there are plenty of spaces to seek refuge. So if I can find some of these areas of refuge, I should be able to find some foxes.
Wild owls are notoriously hard to spot, and searching for one can be quite daunting. But then as I explained my tactic to find one of these elusive birds, it turned out they weren't so hard to find after all. So instead of trying my luck in lots of different fields, I'm going to be focusing on one field in particular. That's why you don't run through your lines during the best time of day. So my method for finding an owl turned out to be complete and utter luck. That is so cool. So, following last night's kerfuffle, I know that there's definitely a barn owl that hunts in that field. Now, I've been photographing barn owls for years, but there's one shot in particular that I've never managed to get. I really want a shot of a barn owl in flight with the setting sun behind it. This will give the owl's feathers a lovely warm glow. And if I can get this shot during lockdown, I will be absolutely chuffed.
While Harry has been faffing around with crayons, I've actually been productive, and over the last 2 weeks I found a few foxes within about a square mile of my flat. Remember that park I showed earlier? Well, it borders with an industrial site, fenced off to the public. And through that fence, foxes made a home. Now, foxes are clever, and this one has clearly realised that people can't reach it through the fence, so it feels nice and safe. Another fox that I found has adopted a similar tactic to the first one, which is to chill out somewhere inaccessible to the public. This time, it's this construction site, with extra horrible spikiness on the fence to keep us humans out. This fox is in remarkably good condition, with a nice, thick, healthy coat. City living clearly suits this canine. Both of these foxes so far have been lovely to watch, but I've also found a third fox who's particularly special.
So I should probably mention that Ed is obsessed with foxes, which means he's probably managed to find some. So I need this barn owl to play ball, or Ed is going to be unbearably smug. God. Conveniently, this is the right time of year. It's late spring, and it's about the time when the barn owls will begin to feed their chicks. This meant that the owls should be fairly active, and a couple of weeks later, I was getting closer to my dream shot. I'm about 2.5 weeks into my lockdown photography project on barn owls, and tonight I'm in a slightly different position. I've taken up a hiding spot under this hawthorn bush. The light is absolutely perfect tonight, so if the owl flies where I think it might in front of that setting sun, I'll be able to underexpose in my camera and catch the light as it comes through the back of the owl's feathers as it hunts. That's what I'm hoping for.
As I was saying, this third fox is pretty special, and that's because she's a mother. Now, I don't know exactly where her den is, but I've seen her in this residential area quite often. So often, in fact, that she's grown very used to my presence and just ignores me while she gets on with her business. It had taken a few weeks, but gaining the trust of this vixen was truly rewarding. I also want to make it clear that I never baited her, and all her behaviour while I was around was completely natural. Red foxes are opportunists and will scavenge for food where they can. They're also a bit smaller than some people imagine. Adults only stand around 40 centimetres tall at the shoulder, so a bit smaller than a border collie, but a bit taller than a corgi. Their small size gives them great agility, which is perfect for getting around the city. Because of her incredibly relaxed attitude around me, I've managed to photograph her in all different kinds of ways. The other day I found her sunbathing on the roof of one of these cars, and I was able to get up super close with my wide-angle lens to get some interesting shots. I like this image because of how harmonising the colours are between the fox, car, and background. I also just love the relaxed expression on the vixen's face. I went for something a bit more dynamic with this photo, shot very wide at a focal length of 24mm. The drool is a bit distracting, but in fairness we've all dribbled a bit after having a nap. For this final image, I went for something with a more fine art feeling to it, using the vixen's reflection in the roof for an interesting composition. I don't normally like black and white wildlife photography, but in this case, I think it works. She also likes patrolling this moderately high brick wall, where I've used a more telephoto lens, so one that's essentially more zoomed in, to photograph her. This is just a straightforward portrait really, but I really liked her sphinx-like pose, and the limited colour palette in the image. I also photographed this other fox on a wall, but this one was nasty and kept hissing at me. So it's been really great being able to try out all these different photography techniques to try and do this beautiful fox justice. Now, if you were listening earlier, I mentioned that this vixen was a mother, and every now and then I'd get a glimpse of one of her cubs. The cubs were much harder to photograph though. They were far less predictable and normally only came out well after dark. One night though, I did have a very memorable encounter. I wasn't wearing shoes to be more stealthy, but I hadn't considered how attractive my smelly socks were to fox cubs. Over the coming days I managed to get a shot or two of the cub, who had now gotten used to me. This is one of my favourites, showing the small cub patrolling his urban world, with a great look of determination on his little ginger face. I also managed to get this image of him, peeping at me over the wall, backlit by someone's security light. Being in lockdown certainly has its challenges, but getting to know my local foxes has been an absolute pleasure.
I'd also been having a brilliant time watching this stunning owl species. Barn owls are one of the UK's most recognisable birds, with their large faces, pale plumage and dark eyes. Their heart-shaped face collects and directs sound towards their ears, which are placed asymmetrically, helping the owls pinpoint the exact whereabouts of their prey. Barn owls are able to fly silently thanks to serrated feather tips which dampen sounds caused by airflow over their wings. And as soon as they hear or see something beneath them, they plunge into the grass to catch it. These adaptations make the owls superb hunters, much to any vole's dismay. 4 weeks into my self-assigned project, and the owls were hunting less frequently because their chicks had fledged and left the area. But on one fateful sunny evening, everything finally started coming together. So I'm in position now, and if the owl flies where I want it to, it's going to go straight in front of the setting sun, and it's going to give me a really nice backlit shot. So keeping my fingers crossed. Come on! Woo! Oh man, I think I got it. I don't believe this. I've been after this shot for 14 nights on the trot, and I've just got it literally 2 minutes before the sun has gone in. I can't believe this. Check this out. The sun has literally just gone behind a cloud, and I've got the shot. I cannot believe it. And this is the reason I was so excited. My backlit barn owl photo, with the owl's feathers glowing a fiery orange in the setting sun as it hunted the meadow. It took a while to get, but oh boy was it worth it.